Great.
Great.
So, it was a Monday morning, bright and early, and Mama Bird decided to take her little birdettes out for breakfast. So Mama Bird and 4 little birds are out eating, and a cat happened to spot them. And they're eating, and the cat starts to creep. And they're eating, and the cat starts to creep. And they're eating, and the cat gets even closer. And then Mama Bird, in her amazing spider-sensey kind of way, spots the cat, steps in front of the baby birds, puffs up her chest, takes a nice deep breath, and the cat runs. At which time, Mama Bird turns to the little baby birds and says, "Now do you understand the importance of learning a second language?" Now, I mentioned that specifically. Well, 1, because it's funny. But 2, because language. We use it. And oftentimes we don't focus on what our language is manifesting or creating. Now, many of you already know me. You're already friends on Facebook. You already know that I have tattoos. One particular thing you may not know about my tattoos, everything is spiritually significant. I have tons of words, whether it's Japanese or Sanskrit or Hebrew or Aramaic and stuff, from here to here.
Wow.
And one major one is right here in the center of my chest. I mean, it's the Japanese word, and it means the same thing in Chinese, for light. Hikari or Guang. Light. Now, thinking about this concept, because today we're talking about abundant light and grace. We, spiritual people on a spiritual path, we hear this thing called light. How often? How often do we talk about light? Be the light of the world. Shine your light. Don't hide your light under a bushel. Blah, 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 blah. We talk about grace, the grace of God. By the grace of God. Such and such, such and such. Grace, 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 grace. How many spiritual books? I would venture to say that every spiritual book since the dawn of creation, in one way, shape, or form, has grace and light referenced in it. Somewhere, it may not be those particular words, but the concept of it is there. So in thinking about light, in thinking about grace, do we talk about it? Because keep in mind, in terms of language, if you don't talk about a thing, then you're not thinking about a thing. Because you don't speak words that don't start first as a thought in consciousness. So if you're not talking about it, regardless of what word you use, then you're not thinking about it. Now, Reverend Alex already mentioned, and we heard St. Nicholas Day and first day of Hanukkah and Christmas, and then there will be Kwanzaa, etc. And I stopped celebrating, quote unquote, celebrating Christmas, etc., way back when. I started thinking, how can I incorporate all of this without putting one single label? And I started thinking, what do all of them have in common? They celebrate light. In one way, shape, or form, they celebrate this ability to shine brighter. But what does that mean? Because once again, we hear it, we talk about it. But what does it mean to shine your light? Conceptually, surface-wise, yes, we get it, we grasp it, but how do you embody it? In the Bible, in King James, does anyone want to venture a guess how many times light shows up in the Old Testament? Anybody want to venture a guess? And it's funny, I specifically mentioned King James because it shows up more times in that translation than subsequent translations. Subsequent translations, that reference gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Isn't that funny?
1,046.
I have, 177. 177 references in the Old Testament about light. There's, and I'm going to quote correctly, and there are 95 references in the New Testament referencing light. Why so many? Why is this concept of light so important? Take light down for a second and replace it with the word, the synonym, Christ. Every time light is referenced, being a light, be the Christ, be the I am, be it, be source, Be that. Every time it's referenced. So whenever we say be the light, what we're really saying is be more of who you are here to be. When we say shine your light, do what you are here to do. If you are here to be a healer, how do you shine as a healer? By healing. If you are here to teach, then how do you shine? By teaching. If you are here to sing or dance or sculpt or whatever it is you are here to do, you shine by doing it. Now that doesn't make it, because once again, we do this spiritual thing where it's all airy-fairy and be a light and blah, 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 blah. And people come in and they're like, what in the world are they talking about? I don't know what they're talking about. And they leave. And it's because they can't. A lot of us were tangible. I need it to be concrete. I need to know exactly what it is you're talking about in a way that when service is done and I walk outside, service as me, in me, through me is continuing. So that once I walk out these doors, what I take with me, what I am, goes there too. So that when I'm at Whole Foods, service is with me. The concept of being it is with me. How do we make it tangible? By taking that word out. Because, like I said, it's surface right now. Take that word out and put the tangible word in. Be the Christ. Be the higher self. Be the I am. And then, well, what does that mean? Because oftentimes we say, be the Christ. Be Christ consciousness. Yeah, okay. I want to do it. I don't know what that means. Take that word out and put another word in. Love. We say God is love. How many were, and I don't remember when it was, it may have been Valentine's Day. We were downstairs in the other conference room, and I did a talk on God is love or the power of love. Anybody remember that talk?
Of course.
And one of the things that I said, I started off with a song. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. Nonsense. There is no shortage of love. If God is love, then how can there be a shortage of it? There can't be. So going back, language. Does your language reference the lack of? Does it reference the not enoughness of? There's not enough love in the world. There's more than enough love in the world. There aren't enough of us living and demonstrating and shining that love. When more of us do that, tipping point. And it will be a world that works for everyone. Period. Right now it's not, because this whole group of people over here, 51%. 51%, not just a little bit. 51% are still talking about this not enoughness, this darkness. And 50% are talking light, talking love, talking Christ consciousness, Buddha nature. That's what this group is talking about. Shifting language, once we get this 1%, war will fade away. There will be no more need for people to take arms for any reason. But what language do we use? Because we play a part in that. If I talk about, or anyone talks about, there aren't enough good jobs. Or what I hear a lot of my female friends say, well, I hear some of my male friends saying too, there aren't enough good men out there. Is it that there aren't enough, or you're not positioning yourself to meet them? There are more than enough. How many people are on the face of this planet? You don't know all them people. Once you open your consciousness to say there is more than, if God is enough, and I would venture to say we would all agree that God, source, the thing itself, is more than enough. Then how it manifests and demonstrates has to also manifest and demonstrate in like mental equivalent, in like physical equivalent. It has to show up the same way. So we say we want abundance, we want prosperity. And we put light in there. Once again, if you take that out, abundant love, money, health, well-being. I don't care what you fill the blank in. Abundant this, whatever it is you desire, are you talking about it? Because if you're not talking about it, then on some level we're not being about it. How many times have we heard for those of us from a Christian background, be about your Father's business. Be about the business of God. You are a representative of that. You are an ambassador of that, whatever you want to call that. You are it itself. So do you move and live and have your beingness as someone who knows there is enough? There is enough oxygen. We don't count. I want to make sure I only do 5 breaths today because I want to make sure there's enough for Reverend Alice tomorrow. So we don't do it. We don't go shopping thinking, well, I'm not going to take this box of chocolate chip cookies because I want to make sure Herta has enough for tomorrow. So I'll take the oatmeal instead. No, if I want the chocolate chip cookies, I'm going to take chocolate cookies because I know somebody can bake some more. We don't shop that way. If it's there, and sometimes we're happy that it's the last one. I got the last. And we'll say it. I got the last whatever. It's not the last. It might be the last on the shelf, but it's not the last it's not. But we have that in mind, that it's the last, and I'm happy that I got it before it ran out. Why do we talk about things in terms of that? So that's my challenge for you, phase 1. Start thinking about the language you use. Talk about what you desire. Be selective about who you talk to it about. Because there will be people who you tell your goals, your dreams, your aspirations, and they will boo-hoo and bah humbug all over it. They will give you every reason why you are crazy for even thinking or dreaming outside the box. Be selective. Okay? Let's talk grace for a second. How many of us, as children, we'll start as children, were taught to say grace before you eat? But why? Why were we taught to say grace? To show thanks, thankfulness, appreciation. Somebody said that. Anything else? I don't think mom and dad didn't say, I want you to do this, just not have. Ritual. So there's this process of, here's my food. Give thanks through this thing called grace. Do you say grace when you catch the metro? Do you say grace when you walk out to your car and it starts? And you get from point A to point B? Do you say grace when you walk into Starbucks or Caribou or whatever and you say, I'd like a caramel macchiato, 11 pumps vanilla, and don't judge me, 11 pumps vanilla, extra caramel and whipped cream. I said, don't judge me. Yes, thank you. And say grace. Do we do it? Do we say grace while we're standing in line in the grocery store over all of the food and products that we bought? Most of us don't. Language. If you are truly grateful and thankful, then why not create the ritual that says, everywhere I walk, everywhere I go, I'm talking gratitude, thankfulness. Last time I was here, I talked about, instead of thanksgiving, thanks living. Live as thanks. To the degree that you don't even have to give thanks. It just exudes off of you like perfume or cologne. Someone steps into your presence and they automatically feel, wow, Rainika is she's just a grateful person. She doesn't even have to say it. I feel it. Grace. People talk about saved by the grace of God. Doesn't quite mean the same thing when we think of saying grace over your food and God's saving grace. You are a sinner, saved by grace. You should be burning somewhere in the nether regions of this dark corner of something, but God said, by my grace I shall save you. No. That's the traditional view. But in our view, well, what is that? There is this concept of you don't deserve to burn. You don't deserve to be punished. You don't deserve this darkness. You don't deserve it. It's as simple as that. That's why God's grace is you deserve better. Simple as that. You deserve better. You are made in the image and likeness of it. If God is love and you are made in the image and likeness of God, then that DNA is your DNA. If God is joy and and prosperity, then you are made with the same DNA. But do you talk about it as a deserving person? Or do you reference in your speech, in your language, and it may be, you don't have to say it. Because if we said everything that we thought, we'd be a party of one many times. So but you know what your thoughts are. You know when you're doing something and you're thinking, I don't really deserve this. You're in a relationship and you feel like, I'm going to do something to mess this up. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. That entire concept is, I don't deserve, this is too good to be true. How many times do we say that? This is too good to be true. That's your concept of, I don't deserve this. If God is all there is, and it's love, joy, peace, and all of the good stuff, brownies and red velvet cake, and God is all of that, that's God. Why don't you deserve the deliciousness and the ecstasy and the bliss of creation? Everything is good. And if it's yours, it's good for you. There is no not good enough. There can't be. Grace. We talk about people who, and normally it's said about women, wow, she's growing old so gracefully. I don't really hear that very rarely to men very often, but every once in a while. But what does that mean when people say that? Or we'll talk about during the Olympics, an ice skater, wow, and is moving across the skate so gracefully. This ease and flow, to be able to surrender to the zone and move without thinking. Because anyone do a sport or music or skate or anything, anybody that knit, sew, sculpt, paint. When you really get into it, you hit a zone where everything vanishes. And you could be doing it, knit one, purl two, knit one, purl two, knit one, purl. And you look up and, wow, it's dark. I've been doing this for 9 hours? How do I? Or someone who cooks, and once you hit the kitchen, it's like boom. And it's been hours. And it's like, what, you hit a zone. That's grace. When you don't have to think about being great. You don't have to think about being your higher self. You just surrender. You take the lower I, me, the lower M, me, the lower self, personality self, ego self, and you drop it. And you step on the ice. And you go. How many of us have heard the phrase, if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him? Heard that phrase before? No. Or someone mentions, quoted exactly, Salvador Dali once said, have no fear of perfection. You'll never reach it. Right? To which I reply with what Ram Dass says. When you're in Detroit, you don't have to catch a bus to get there. Meaning, because all three of those tie in. You are, the reason why you kill the Buddha on the street is because it's you. You are it. You can't expect or look for something external. You are grace personified. And the moment you accept that, the moment you say, yeah, I am that, I am, then you move through life with an ease and a flow. Struggle becomes a thing of the past. Any Star Wars geeks? And it's Star Wars geeks. Sorry. Couple of days. I think we should do a CSLDC. Never mind, sorry. Because there's only a handful of us. But Star Wars, The Force Reawakens is coming out very soon. I have to regain my... For those of us who are Star Wars fans, way back when there was a movie called The Empire Strikes Back, and Yoda was teaching Luke about the Force, how to be a Jedi. And Yoda says, the Force is my ally. And a powerful ally it is. It binds us, flows through us, supports us. Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. What does that mean for us? God, Source, is my ally, and a powerful ally it is. It flows through me, and in me, and as me. Luminous beings are we, not just flesh and blood. We are already abundance. We are already light. We are already, all of creation already is right here, right now as us. If our language is not speaking about it, then how do we get it to show up, to shine as us? I Dream a Genie, or Aladdin. You got the genie bottle. You have the magic person. And what do they say? Your wish is my command. But if you never make a wish, you have the opportunity to manifest, demonstrate, and create whatever. Your wish doesn't say, your wish is my command as long as you don't ask for a car, a house, a boat. Your wish is my command. And the moment you ask, it is given. But you have to ask. Do we ask? And do we ask with the expectation of already having? I talked about this way back when, it was after service actually, if I recall correctly. And we were talking about, you go to a restaurant, and you sit there and the waiter or waitress comes to you and they say, hello, my name is Ray, how can I help you today? And you place your order. But you place your order knowing that when I walk away, I didn't just walk outside the restaurant, get in my car, and drive home. You trust and believe that I took your order, placed your order, and when I return, I am bringing what you asked for back. But do you do the exact same thing to creation? Do you ask with the expectation of knowing it is already so? It's already done. The moment you think it, your mind is God's mind. So if you think it, then God knows it already. There is no separation. What you already have in your mind, in your consciousness, all of creation, the four corners of the globe and every galaxy and universe throughout all of expanse, knows it at the same time and starts to conspire to bring it to you. Yes. And what do? We say, I really want to be on Oprah, on Super Soul Sunday as a featured speaker. Yeah, but she'll never call me. Why would she? She doesn't know me. I'm not famous. So we throw it out there. This is what I want. And as soon as we throw it out there, we start grabbing it back. Way back when in my former Christian life, that would have been referenced as placing it on the altar of God and then going back to the altar and taking it off. If you left it, you placed it, then leave it and know that it is taken care of. So language. Do you talk about what you want? Do you ask for what you want? With the assurance that it's already done. And then simply allow with grace to flow in you and through you, and as you just simply say, I'm available. I'm open at the top. Let it flow in me and through me and show up as me, shining its light everywhere I go. So that, as I've said before, so that everyone I see and everyone who sees me sees the face of God. Yeah. So that everyone who I touch and everyone who touches me touches the hand of God. So that everyone that I hear and everyone who hears me hears the loving voice of creation. That's when abundance in all forms, and prosperity in all forms, health and well-being, relationships, finances, all of that starts to show up in our lives. But you got to talk about it first. And then be willing to let it happen. So this Christmas, this Hanukkah, this Kwanzaa, this holiday season of the Festival of Lights, let that be the gift you give yourself. Because realize, when you gift yourself, it's the gift that keeps on giving. Literally, what you do for yourself is already done for those around you. Give yourself the right to be happy. Give yourself the right to be divine. Give yourself it's already yours. You may as well walk in it, talk in it, stand in it, knowing that you're already good enough. You're already beautiful. You're already divine, abundant light. And you're already graceful as all get out. And so it is.
And so it is.